The Art of Leadership Network.
Hey leaders, welcome to the LeadCulture podcast. I'm your host, Jenni Catron, founder and CEO of the Foresight Group, where our mission is to cultivate healthy leaders to lead thriving teams. This podcast is for leaders who want more than just good intentions. You want clarity, confidence, and practical tools to lead well in the real world. Each week, I'll equip you to navigate the challenges of leadership and culture with insight you can actually put into practice. We'll explore what it really takes to lead yourself well, because the way you show up as a leader shapes everything, from your decisions to your team's health and momentum. My goal is to equip you to lead with purpose, strengthen your culture, and create environments where people and organizations flourish. Along the way, you'll hear honest conversations, real stories, and proven frameworks from leadership and culture topics to insights from guests and leaders who are committed to doing the work of leading well. So whether you're leading a team, an organization, or simply working to grow as a leader, you're in the right place. Let's dive in and continue this leadership journey together. Well, friends, Happy New Year. I cannot believe it's 2026. And I hope you got lots of rest, some good reflection, and are ready to dive into the year ahead. It's funny because it's just the turn of a calendar page, but it really is an opportunity to just seemingly start fresh, isn't it? And I hope that you're just thinking about what this year holds, letting it be a little bit of a restart. Maybe you finished the year a little discouraged, maybe a little overwhelmed. Maybe you finished the year really, really strong and you want to keep building on that momentum. Wherever you are, personally, professionally, with your team, with your organization, I hope you are starting the new year with some good perspective. You got a little bit of space and a little bit of margin to just think bigger, dream bigger, and anticipate this year ahead of us. I know that I got to do that this year. I had a little more margin and a little more time than I sometimes have between Christmas and the new year. And I just found myself re-energized with just space, right? Just time to think and to dream and to plan. And so I'm really looking forward to some of the things that my team and I are planning for this year and how we want to continue to serve you as leaders. For today's episode, I want to talk about 5 leadership and culture trends for 2026. Now, this is a compilation of my thoughts based upon what I'm reading and studying, as well as observations from the leaders that we get to work with. We get to work with leaders in all different types of organizations across the country. We hear similar themes. We start to anticipate and discern what might be coming in the year ahead. So this is a compilation of both talking to leaders that we get to work with, as well as the things that I'm reading and studying from a lot of the resources that I am always just engaging to help me grow as a leader. I'm going to give you an overview of each one. And if you're a part of our LeadCulture Network, you've heard me talk about this quite a bit. We launched the LeadCulture Network back in the fall. And you guys, it is off to a phenomenal start. Such a great group of culture champions who are assembled to learn and grow together. And in the network is where we do a deep dive on a lot of the things that I share here in the podcast, as well as with the LeadCulture Framework. And so if you are not already in the network, I want to encourage you to go check it out. Just click the link in the show notes or shoot me a quick email at jennicatron@getforesight.com, and we will get you all the details, because the network is the place to be. It's a very cost-effective way to be engaged with us on a regular basis, to get interaction and coaching from our team. And I'm going to be digging deeper into these trends with the network. But today, I want to give you an overview of the 5 things that are on my radar for 2026 related to leadership and culture. And the first one is one that was really showing up all year long last year. Like in all of the conversations and all of our consulting with organizations on culture, this was the thing that was holding back most teams. Like this was the pinch point for most of the teams that we were working with. And it's this idea, my trend number 1 is that development is a non-negotiable. Now, I'm talking about leadership and skills development, like equipping your team, both younger workers and tenured workers, that a commitment to growing and learning is absolutely essential. That everything is moving so fast, we're having to stay on our toes, so to speak, in our commitment to learning and growing. And it's both for employers and employees, right? So it's a non-negotiable. If you're an employer, creating development opportunities for your team is a retention strategy, right? Like you cannot ignore the need to develop your team members in order to retain them and not see them move on to another opportunity. It is also a non-negotiable for you as an employee as a job security measure, because you're going to get eclipsed if you are not continuing to grow. And I don't say that to scare you. I say that to just be a wake-up call that everything moves so quickly that if you are not keeping yourself kind of cutting edge and learning new skills and making sure you are sharp, you will get eclipsed. And so development is a non-negotiable. Employers will need to recognize that the cost of investing in development of team members is far more cost effective than constant turnover. So companies, leaders, you've got to recognize that as much as it seems hard to fight for the margin and the time to develop your leaders or develop your people, you've got to give the time and energy and resources to it because the cost of turnover is much greater. Employees, we need to recognize that we have to stay competitive in order to advance in the organizations that we're in or to avoid layoffs by not keeping up. So development is a non-negotiable. What's your plan for your growth and development this year? So personally, every one of us should have a growth and a development plan. If you're a leader in an organization and you have influence over the development of your team, what's your plan for developing them? And I actually have a solution for you. In fact, because I was seeing this as such a need in this past year, on January 13th. So if you're listening to this in real time, you've still got time to get registered for this. But on January 13th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central Time, it's a 4-hour workshop that I'm hosting to help you build your leadership plan for 2026. Now, this is designed for organizational leaders that need to build a plan for your staff for ongoing training and development. You could apply this personally if you wanted to make the investment, but it's really designed for an organizational leader who knows, I need to develop my team and I feel overwhelmed of where to start and how to do it because, most of you we work with a lot of organizations that are kind of small to mid-size organizations. And if you're in that, 25 to 200 staff person range, you probably don't have somebody dedicated on your staff who's responsible for building training and development plans for your organization. That's just the nature of the size you are. And so it just feels overwhelming, right? So you put it on the back burner and you never get started on building a plan for constant development of your team. And so this workshop on January 13th is going to solve that for you. So make sure you check that out. So in a nutshell, the best companies and the best individuals are going to commit to development this year. If you don't grow, you're going to get left behind. So development is a non-negotiable. Number 2, the human AI synergy will take center stage, right? So the human AI synergy, and I say that purposefully because it's really important that we recognize, AI is here to stay. And we're moving past just the early adopters that dabble in AI. And the majority, both leaders and employees, are going to have to engage this tool and determine how to use it in your organization. So I don't know where you land, whether you're somebody who's kind of avoided it or you're somebody who's been a super early adopter, but all of us have got to figure out how we're using AI as a tool in our organizations. No more avoidance and no more novelty. Like those two ends of the spectrum have got to go away. All of us have got to understand, how are we using it? How are we leading it? And how are we making sure it's an effective tool inside of our organization? Because it's here, it's real. So we've got to educate and we have to engage. Now, this one is an area, just honestly, this is an area of focus for me this year. I am rarely a super early adopter. I'm not an innovator. I sometimes will be an early adopter, but I'm usually on the front edge of the majority, right? Like I will become comfortable with something as it's becoming a little more popular. And so I am being honest with you all that I feel like I have dabbled in AI over the last couple of years. Some of my team members use it more regularly and more intentionally. But it is something that I am personally saying, how am I leading this? How am I helping equip and serve you as leaders and how you're using AI? So I'm going to be learning right along with you, but it's clear to me that this is a tool we've got to learn how to use. I remember back in the day when this really dates me, but I remember back when email and the internet were becoming a thing. And I remember our company being really slow to let every team member have email. And I don't know what they were afraid of. It was like this really big deal if you got an email account for work. Now think of how much having email has accelerated. Guys, and this was when I was just out of college, to preface it, but still dating myself. But this was back when we were having to call all the time or use fax machines to share information. And so now I look at that and I go, why were they dragging their feet with email? But it kind of feels similar to me in that it was new technology. We didn't know if everybody should use it. And now it just feels ridiculous that it was ever a question. And I think the same thing is true of AI. It is here. It is a tool. We've got to get educated and we've got to learn how to use it. So I will keep you posted as I am learning this year and share resources that are being helpful to me so you can engage them as well. So I do want to note that I labeled this the human AI synergy. I actually borrowed that phrase from, I think it was O.C. Tanner, I think in some of their information. So I borrowed that phrase, but I like that phrase. And I think it's important because as leaders who are building great cultures, we need to understand where humanness is essential and where it needs to be emphasized even more as we integrate AI into the right parts of our organization. So you're going to figure out places where AI is just a great tool and it helps accelerate the right things. And then you're going to also recognize where you need to double down on the human component, the in-person pieces of organizational life. And my encouragement to you right now would just be start asking the questions and paying attention to what does AI mean? Where do we need to use it intentionally? And then where does our humanness need to show up even stronger as a leader, as a team, as an organization? Okay, number 3. Now, this is probably a little bit of a controversial one, just to preface, but I believe it's an employer market rather than an employee market. Now, what do I mean by that? For the last several years, employees have kind of had the upper hand, right? Employers have had to increase wages and add perks to attract workers. There was a time where it was really hard, and still hiring is proving to be very difficult for employers. It's been hard to get good talent. So employees have had lots of options. You've had lots of options, but I'm seeing a shift, particularly in the second half of 2025. I feel like I saw a shift where employees are recognizing that jobs are a little harder to find, and quitting just because you don't like something or someone. That used to be kind of a norm. If you were, annoyed by something, you just quit because you figured I'll find another job. Now that comes with the possibility of not having a job at all, that you're recognizing, I need to think twice before I just leave because I'm irritated, or I leave because I don't like this person, or I leave because I don't like something that the job is requiring of me. So there's a subtle shift happening. Now, there are some other research out there that would debate this the other way. Just my sense and my gut is that it's employees are recognizing that the job market is not as robust as it had been historically. It's subtle, but I'm starting to see younger workers in particular struggling to find and keep jobs. And then I'm seeing mature workers are sitting tight for fear of losing theirs, right? They're kind of sitting tight and playing it safe because they don't want to rock the boat in some way. So there's just a tension in the workplace for where the power lies. Now, I'm not saying it's necessarily good or right that exists, but it does. And I think this will continue to fluctuate. In 6 months, I could say the opposite. I honestly think this one is so volatile right now that I think it could shift a lot. So here's what I think we need to take away from this as leaders. So my trend is that it's an employer market rather than an employee market. It's putting more power back in the hands of the employer because jobs are a little leaner. Job opportunities are a little leaner. So while that sounds like good news, if you're an employer, I want you to take caution because fear is what is driving this uncertainty, right? Fear is what is driving this uncertainty in the employment market. Employees don't necessarily feel loyal. Leaders, we need to hear this. They don't necessarily feel loyal. They feel trapped. And as soon as there is an option to escape, they will move on. So leaders, what this requires of us goes to trend number 4, which I'll get to in a minute. But I want you to pay attention. I don't want us to take the wrong approach to, oh, okay, we've got more power and, they better be happy they have a job. Like, I don't want us to have that attitude, and that's not what I'm suggesting. I want you to be aware of, yes, the job market's a little tighter, it's a little leaner, but I also want you to be aware of why they're staying, and I want you to make your organization a place where they absolutely want to stay regardless of the market, okay? Which brings me to trend number 4. The best cultures will attract and retain the best talent. Now, this has always been true, but again, I think because of the market, this becomes even more critical. People don't want to leave great work experiences because they realize how rare they are. I have been talking to a number of leaders that have maybe started new jobs. Some of them are in amazing experiences, and some of them are in really bad experiences. And when they get in a great work experience, they realize how valuable it is, how rare it is. So this is an opportunity for many of you because you can lean into this and build on your culture. For some of you, it's a liability. Your culture's not great. And so it is a liability for you right now. If your culture is not great, you're struggling to attract and retain talent, or you've got people hanging on just because of fear of the unknown rather than because they really want to be there. So if your culture is strong, the flywheel effect of this will be unstoppable momentum for your organization. If your culture is strong and you can keep building on that, you're going to attract and retain great talent. That talent is going to stick around. You're going to retain the institutional knowledge that they have. They're going to invite and recruit their friends because the culture is great. If your culture is not good, getting off this miserable hamster wheel is going to take a lot of effort. And this is where we can help, by the way. Y'all know this, but the LeadCulture Framework is really designed to help you build a plan to build a growing, thriving, and unstoppable culture. So if your culture is not great, if you're like, I know it's not great, I want you to get serious about this. I want you to get serious about your culture for this year because it's going to be critical. So the 4th trend, the best cultures will attract and retain the best talent. And there will become a divide. There'll be the really great companies to work for and the really not so great companies to work for. And then number 5 is having a culture plan will become more common, but it needs to be fully integrated to be successful. So I've been preaching to you for years that you need to have a culture plan. That is the solution that the Foresight Group provides, is that we help you have an actual culture plan. When I talk to leaders, they know culture matters. In fact, the data tells us 80% say, yes, culture matters, but only 25% of us have a plan. So the LeadCulture Framework, the Culture Matters book, is designed to give you a plan. And that plan needs to be fully integrated to be successful. Because some of you are going to the work of building a plan or maybe writing some values, but you're not actually integrating it into everything you do. And that is going to create a problem for you. And you're going to think that the culture plan doesn't matter. And it absolutely does, but you have to work a plan for a plan to work, right? In O.C. Tanner's article, they did 5 culture trends for 2026. I did not steal theirs. I reviewed theirs, and then I kind of came up with my own, because if you go look at theirs, you'll notice that I don't agree always with the same ones that they have. But they said this, and this is one we do agree on. They said, to be successful, culture initiatives must be more than just an HR program or shiny new piece of technology. They must be fully integrated into your organization's culture, including your expectations, processes, and practices. Truly integrated solutions are built into the daily employee experience, the interactions, processes, and practices employees encounter each day. They include the support of senior leaders, role modeling and measurement, and naturally become part of the company's DNA. When this happens, employees, listen to this, when this happens, when culture plans are fully integrated, employees are 18 times more likely to say that the workplace has a healthy performance culture with high expectations and high support, and 10 times more likely to say that their team is inclusive. So The integrated plan is the key. And guys, the LeadCulture Framework, one of the tools that we have in the framework is our employee journey grid, which says, hey, the culture that you've defined, we want to make sure that it is integrated into every rhythm inside of your organization, from interviewing and hiring to how you do performance reviews to how you handle your meetings, that the culture that you aspire to is integrated into everything that you do. When you do that, you will have a culture that succeeds. And leaders, I deeply believe as AI is, going crazy and creating so much disruption, as the market and economy is just still a little bit weird and people are playing it a little safe, having great cultures, great environments where people are engaged and thriving is a competitive advantage. It will make your company distinct. And when you have that, the momentum from your team is exponential. It just is. And all the data proves it out over and over and over. All the measurable results that we look for and growth and so forth, all of those things, when cultures are healthy, those numbers all increase. The ROI is there. So those are my trends for this year. Let me recap them again. Number 1, development is a non-negotiable. How are you developing yourself? How are you developing your team? Number 2, the human AI synergy will take center stage. We've got to figure out how to do this together. Number 3, it's an employer market rather than an employee market. That puts some onus on us leaders to build environments that people want to be a part of. Number 4, the best cultures will attract and retain the best talent. And number 5, culture plan will become more common, but needs to be fully integrated to be successful. So friends, I am curious what you see. What trends do you see in leadership and culture? I'd love to hear about it. Shoot me an email at jennicatron@getforesight.com. Love to know what you're seeing and what you're sensing about leadership and culture for this year. And then I want to encourage you, if you are not a part of our LeadCulture Network, now is the time to get in. If you're a culture champion, if you feel alone, like you're the only one who sees the importance of culture and you're like, I need some support, I need to learn from other people who are doing this, I want you to join the network. It's a phenomenal place for us to learn and grow together. You get the entire LeadCulture course curriculum inside the network. Our Leadership Institute course, which is leadership development resources. I do monthly live trainings. We do Q&As and hot seats. And then you've got the network of champions that you can connect with. So make sure you check that out. Click the link in the show notes or shoot me an email at jennicatron@getforesight.com. And I would love for you to join me in the network this year. Guys, I'm excited about the year ahead. My word for the year is believe. Just believing for bigger things, believing in bigger dreams, believing in myself, believing in my team. I am believing for an amazing 2026. And I'm so excited to be on the journey with you. So if this was helpful, share it with a friend, share it with somebody who you know is a culture champion and wants to keep learning and growing and paying attention to what's on the horizon for this year. And I will see you next week.